On today's Toy Spot, we're going to be crossing the line with the new Jakks Pacific TNA wrestling figures, and this 2-pack features the Scott Steiner as well as Kevin Nash. Unfortunately, really, I mentioned this before, Jakks Pacific, the one problem that they have, and they've done this with the WWE figures back in the day too, is that really by the time they make the figure, they produce them, they distribute them and circulate them through retail, usually it means that the figures are always behind on either the look of the wrestler or the fact that maybe that wrestler isn't even around anymore. And in Series 1 here, it is quite apparent with the introduction or the inclusion of Scott Steiner here in this set. Kevin Nash is still around, a little more grayer than I think this figure is, but Scott Steiner hasn't been in TNA for almost a year, maybe a little less than a year, since really the Main Event Mafia broke up and his feud with Bobby Lashley stopped. But we have a picture of Scott Steiner and big sexy Kevin Nash up at the corners there. Once again using the 6-sided ring as the packaging. Again a bit behind on designs here. On the back, within Series 1, with the 2-packs, we have 2-pack of Samoa Joe and Mick Foley. We've got Money Inc. Or not Money Inc. We've got Beer Money Incorporated. I don't know why I said Money Inc. James Storm and Robert Roode. And then finally, I guess if you want to call it the Main Event Mafia, we've got Kevin Nash and Scott Steiner. The single figures include Kurt Angle, Suicide, Jeff Jarrett, Sting, Samoa Joe, and AJ Styles. You can also get yourself the 6-sided ring as well. Seems a little off in scale, but nonetheless. Oh, it's real. It is real. So what we'll do is we'll get this opened up, and we will have ourselves a look at the big bad booty daddy, Scott Steiner, and big sexy Kevin Nash. Stay tuned, guys, there's so much more to come. Alright, so we'll start the review part of this with the look at Scott Steiner first. I've got Scott Steiner sporting his chainmail headdress here. Pretty nicely detailed, really, for what it is as well. And he's got his glasses on there. They look to be the same glasses that came with James Storm. They look to be, at least. And you can actually take the glasses off. And you can actually take off the chainmail as well. And you've got a really nice looking Scott Steiner. And I'm not generally, and I'll just show you guys a close-up of the chainmail here. I'm not generally a fan, and I'm not generally a fan when it comes to posed wrestlers, at least with the wrestling figures, when they always give a pre-posed facial expression on the figures themselves. I always like this, if I'm going to have them on display, I don't necessarily need Chris Jericho yelling, or I don't need somebody making a kissy face, or somebody screaming or something like that. But I think actually it works in the case of Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner always has his mouth open while he's yelling, talking smack to somebody. The big bad booty daddy. Holla if you hear him. He has actually done really, really well, and they've incorporated all the parts of his tights in there, right down to his I guess his shin guards with the big bad booty daddy listed all around there. Scott Steiner's finisher. It's varied a couple of times. Generally, he always seems to fall back on the Steiner recliner. Due to his age, he doesn't do the Frankensteiner anymore. He has also resorted to doing a Samoa drop off the top rope to finish some of his matches. He's also relied on a flatliner or a front face DDT a couple of times to finish his match. But generally, it's usually a Steiner recliner. And really, aside from Bret Hart, and possibly Sting. I'm not usually a fan of, and Jericho really I should say as well, I'm not usually a fan of submission finishers. Because they can usually either drag out a long time or the guy just taps out right away, which makes no sense. He looks really neat. He's got the new addition of his chest tattoo there as well. And in the way of Scott Steiner's articulation, he has a ball-jointed head. He has ball-jointed shoulders. You can rotate the bicep. You can bend the elbow. You rotate the hand. You can also bend the hand in and out. You can bend at the mid-torso, although really stiff. You can rotate the waist. And you can bend the legs in and out, back and forth. You can bend at the knee 2 points. He's got a really nice rubber knee pad, which I like as well, which is always the case usually on figures nowadays. He has the rotation, no rotation in the calf. He has rotation in the foot. You can also swivel it slightly and bend it up and down. I like Scott Steiner quite a bit. I think this figure works really, really well. Yes, he's not quite in TNA anymore. You know, he's been out for a bit. I believe he's wrestling in Japan. Not 100% certain. He might be even wrestling in Mexico. But it's kind of neat to see him still part of this line. A bit outdated, yes. But at least the figure is nice. And I do like Scott Steiner. I'm going to give him an 8. He does look like Scott Steiner. I'm going to give him an 8. Alright, so that's Scott Steiner out of the way. Let's have a look at Kevin Nash. They did a great job on Kevin Nash. As you can see, his head is extremely loose. Extremely loose. I don't know why. It does look like his head is on right, but for some reason his head just does not want to stay tight. It also doesn't help either that his head, well, the hair end of it is sculpted so far back that you can't really have his head very far back either. He's got his ponytail going on there. But that's a shame because half the time your Kevin Nash has his head down. That's frustrating. That aside though, nice job on Kevin Nash. They definitely did a good job on him. Sporting his red, I guess his red trunks and straps that he doesn't really wear anymore. He usually tends to wear black now. But a prime opportunity for them to go back and give us a black suited Kevin Nash. They've also given him the tattoos on the side there. Pretty good. I mean, really pretty good for what it is. The only downside, though, is they gave him the tattoo. If you can see it, they actually tattooed the joint, and the only way that it lines up properly is if for his arm to be up like that. Unless he's given a clothesline, I don't know. That's the only one glaring problem, but, well, I mean, aside from the head as well. But definitely nice work. And scale-wise, yeah, Kevin Nash should be a tad taller. But he does look good. Definitely does look good. Kevin Nash's finisher has stayed the same, really, since WWE when he was Diesel. He's got the jackknife powerbomb. Still uses it to this day. He doesn't wrestle as much now, obviously, due to his constant problems with his knees. Sidewalk slams he does. Most of the time, though, he usually just elbows the guy in the turnbuckle. You know, the big boot against the turnbuckle. That's about all they haven't really done much with Kevin Nash. They're trying to push him now with Sting, but he had the I guess the rejoining of the band, Scott Hall and Six Pac, that fell through due to reasons. Then they hooked him up with former World Elite leader Eric Young. That kind of just fizzled as well. Now they've kind of got Kevin Nash as the anti-company representative. I don't know if they're rejoining Wolfpack, the way they keep hinting with Sting with the red face paint. But I do like this Kevin Nash. I do like it quite a bit. Yes, it's a shame his head is as loose as it is, because really everything else works on the figure really, really well. They could have made him a little more tanned, yes, because Kevin Nash is a little more darker in complexion, but a very solid figure nonetheless. His articulation, he has the ball-jointed head, extremely loose. He has the ball-jointed shoulders. You can rotate the bicep, bend the elbow, rotate the hand, bend it as well. Same as the Scott Steiner, you can bend at the mid-torso. Again, very tight on this figure. You rotate the waist, you can bend the legs back and forth, in and out. A lot more really than what Kevin Nash would be able to do. You can bend at the knees, but again, it's Kevin Nash, so you gotta be a little careful in the knees. You can rotate the feet, and you can also bend them up and down. I find the legs are a bit loose as well, but certainly nothing compared to how loose his head is. Really, that is such a shame that the figure has as loose of a head. I guess if you turn it to the side, it holds it a little bit better. But Kevin Nash, by the way, I'm gonna give an 8 to. I mean, it's a good set. It's definitely, I think, one of the stronger of the three sets. The Beer Money and I think these guys are really the way to go. The Samoa Joe, just due to how dated the figure is now, the Mick Foley was very disappointing. I'd say those are a pass. But if you wanted to get figures, you can definitely pick up the Main Event Mafia here. Out of date, yes. Steiner's no longer in the picture, but decent figures nonetheless. And today's Toy Spot, we were having a look at the Jakks Pacific TNA Cross the Line 2-pack figures. We're looking at the Big Bad Booty Daddy. We were looking at Scott Steiner, and we were looking at Big Sexy Kevin Nash. And I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.